Dear children, you have already learned what is a chemical change. Let us know more about rusting of iron. When an iron object is left in damp air for a considerable time, it gets covered with a red browny flaky substance called a rust. This is called a rusting of iron. During the rusting of iron, iron metal combines with the oxygen in presence of water, that means moisture, to form a compound iron oxide. This iron oxide is rust. The process of rusting can be represented as iron plus oxygen plus water, that means in presence of moisture or damp air, form iron oxide. Iron oxide is rust. Rusting of iron is a chemical change because a new substance, iron oxide, is formed in this process. Almost every iron object kept in the open gets rusted slowly. Agricultural tools such as spades, shovels also get rusted when exposed to atmosphere for a considerable time. In the kitchen, the iron pan often gets rusted if kept in wet state for some time. Conditions necessary for rusting are: one is presence of oxygen and presence of water vapor or moisture. The rusting of iron is faster in coastal areas because the air at those places contain more water vapor. The presence of salt in water makes the process of rusting of iron faster. Thus, an iron object will rust much faster when kept in seawater than when kept in fresh water. The rusting of iron is a continuous process which slowly eats up the iron objects and make them useless. As you know that iron is used in making a large number of objects such as bridges, grills, railings, gates, and bodies of cars, buses, trucks, and ships, etc. Rusting of iron causes a great loss over a period of time. Obviously, we should have some ways of preventing rusting of iron. Let us study some methods to prevent rusting of iron. Rusting of iron can be prevented by painting. When a coat of paint is applied to the surface of an iron object, then air and moisture cannot come in contact with the iron object and hence no rusting takes place. Iron objects are painted regularly to prevent them from rusting. Rusting of iron can be prevented by applying grease or oil. When some grease or oil is applied to the surface of an iron object, then air and moisture cannot come in contact with it and hence rusting is prevented. Rusting can be prevented by galvanization. The process of depositing a thin layer of zinc metal on iron objects is called galvanization. It is done by dipping an iron object in molten zinc metal. The iron sheets used for making buckets, drums, dustbins, and roofs are galvanized to prevent their rusting. The iron pipes used in our homes to carry water are also galvanized to prevent rusting. Iron is coated with a chromium to prevent rusting. This is called chrome plating. Iron is coated with a chromium to prevent rusting. Chromium plating is done on steel furniture, tabs, bicycle handlebars, and car bumpers, etc. Rusting of iron can be prevented by allowing it to make stainless steel. When iron is mixed with carbon, chromium, and nickel, stainless steel is obtained. Stainless steel is an alloy of iron. Stainless steel does not rust at all. Cooking utensils, knives, scissors, and surgical instruments are made of stainless steel and do not rust at all. The ships are made of iron, and a part of the ship always remains under seawater. The presence of salts in seawater makes the process of rust formation on ships faster. So, in spite of being painted regularly, the ships suffer a lot of damage from rusting. The damage caused by rusting is so much that a fraction of ship's iron has to be replaced every year. This causes a lot of money loss to the world. There is an iron pillar near the Qutub Minar in Delhi which is more than 7 meters high and weighs more than 6,000 kilograms. It was built more than 1600 years ago. Even after such a long period, the iron pillar has not rusted at all. This shows that Indian scientists had made great advances in metal making technology as back as 1600 years, which enabled them to make this iron pillar having the quality of great rust resistance. Next, we can study crystallization. Large crystals of pure substances obtained from their solutions by the process of crystallization. Solid substances are usually purified by the process of crystallization. It is an example of a physical change. How will you define crystals and crystallization, children? The solid particles having flat surfaces, straight edges, and regular shapes are called crystals. The process of cooling a hot concentrated solution of a substance to obtain crystals is called crystallization. The process of crystallization is used to obtain large crystals of pure solid substances from the impure solid substances. An impure solid substances usually contain two types of impurities: insoluble impurities and soluble impurities. The insoluble impurities are removed by filtering its solution, whereas soluble impurities get removed by crystallization. Let us see an activity to obtain pure copper sulfate crystals from an impure sample. Take about 100 ml of water in a beaker and add a few drops of dilute sulfuric acid to it. Heat the water over a burner till it boils. copper sulfate powder slowly to that hot water with constant stirring. Continue to add copper sulfate till no more copper sulfate can be dissolved. This will give us a saturated solution of copper sulfate. Filter the hot saturated solution of copper sulfate to remove insoluble impurities. Allow the hot and concentrated solution of copper sulfate to cool slowly. Do not disturb the solution when it is cooling. After some time, we will see large copper sulfate crystals at the bottom of the beaker. Separate the copper sulfate crystals from the solution by filtration and dry it. The soluble impurities present in copper sulfate do not crystallize and hence remain behind in the solution. See children, in 6th standard you have learned that salt can be obtained by the evaporation of seawater. Impure common salt obtained by the evaporation of seawater is purified by the process of crystallization. Large crystals of pure substance can be formed from their solutions by the process of crystallization, and it is an example of physical change. Okay.